Yes, I am aware of the fact that I desperately need a haircut. I'm going in a few days. Um, Today I'm going to talk about um, whether or not to tell other people to disclose that you have a psychiatric condition. First of all, in personal relationships, social relationships, situations, it is entirely a individual, personal decision. Or telling family, friends, acquaintances. That's all up to what you feel comfortable with. Well, you know the situation, how people will respond, or how you want them to respond or don't want them to respond, and go by that. I am pretty open with telling people that I have bipolar disorder. I don't get in, unless I know them very well or am very comfortable with them, I don't get into the nitty-gritty details, but I do it even though sometimes I may not feel entirely comfortable. But I do it because I want to give other people the impression that it's no big deal. I want to just say, well, I have bipolar disorder, as if I were saying I have diabetes, epilepsy, high blood pressure. And so I can give off or exude the impression to other people that it's nothing for me to be ashamed of or anyone to be ashamed of, or uncomfortable about, or something that needs to be hidden. And so I kind of go by situation, how much I reveal. But I am pretty open with it, just saying, well, I have bipolar disorder, so, like in conversation, I don't go around telling people, but in like conversation, if something comes up like, oh, I was on a medication that made me balloon up, gain a lot of weight, and, oh, what was that medication? Well, it was called Zyprexa. Oh, really? What's that for? Or, just talking about things like, well, it's really important for me to get my sleep, medically, and stuff, just in conversation. I don't go around, with a sign, but I want people to be comfortable with it and feel comfortable with if they had any questions, or maybe it might make them comfortable enough to say, oh, well, yeah, I've been treated for depression or whatever. My brother has bipolar disorder, and things like that. Now, where I think you are obligated as far as employers and fellow employees, certain jobs, like if nobody's life is in your hands, I don't think it's necessary and for you to divulge that you have it, unless you really want to. But if you have a profession or a job where it's taking care of people, I mean, really, things could really go wrong. If you had a mood episode get out of hand, I think you are obligated. I was a registered nurse. When I was diagnosed, once I was stabilized and gone back to work, I did tell all my employers, but I said, I've been stable for this long, I'm on this medication, and I see this doctor, and they've given me the okay, and, Also, if considered a disability, an employer may have to adjust what you do for them to accommodate your disability. I know someone who's a nurse that was a nurse on a floor, in the hospital, but now she does intake, like admits people in outpatient and stuff. and her hours are restricted. They can't make her work any more certain number of hours because it's part of her restriction. That's a different video though. But I think it's irresponsible if you're like, say, a pilot or a doctor, to not let someone in your workplace around you know. Especially if you have a severity of where you have had situations where you were in a mood episode and were not aware of it, and have a history of risky behaviors, poor decisions, poor judgment, and which is the definition of mania pretty much. So that someone there can say to you, you seem a little different. I've noticed this and this and this. Do you think you need a person like that to honestly babysit your moods. It sounds sad, but it's the truth. I mean, it's just a fact. I mean, if you had diabetes, you would want someone to come and say, you're acting kind of funny, like your sugar's low. When did you last eat? And I think it would be irresponsible to not tell someone, and I think it would be even more irresponsible to know you have a history of severe psychiatric problems, psychosis and stuff, and continue to work in situations where you're responsible for people's lives, even being in that situation at all, staying there. That's why I gave up my nursing license, because I didn't want to be manic and think I was doing well and was ready to work again, and just, because I made some bad decisions during manic episodes while I was working, and that's just a fact of life. You can't turn off the depression and mania when you clock in to go to work. It stays with you. So you have to work with it. It's there, you can't ignore it. And also, if you're able to tell someone and then you describe bipolar, they may not know what it's about, and you describe it to them and they'll be like, oh, really, I didn't know. You might be passing up an opportunity to educate, or an opportunity for someone to say, oh, so that's why you were like this last week and now you're can barely move, So, but it's up to you. I mean, if you know that, like, say your family thinks that you have demons in you and you're, the devil from hell because you have a psychiatric disorder, and you don't think, I could say that would be a situation where maybe you wouldn't want to tell your family. You have to pay attention to who you're with, who you're telling, what situation you're in. And don't be surprised if you tell someone and they suddenly, you notice them back off a little bit or something, because some people just have an automatic, uncontrollable response to it, to psychiatric disorders, the more, beyond depression and anxiety, like it's contagious or something. It's scary if they don't know or aren't exposed to it. And some acquaintance that you thought might end up being a friend, you may find them distancing yourself. But it's better to find that out right then, before they were a friend and then dumped you when they found out. That's how I see it. Well, that's about it. I'm running out of time. And I think that's all I need to say. Bye.